Afternoon. Thank you to Resource Rising Stars to be able to present to you today, and thank you for your time and attention for coming here to listen. So, I'm Neil McDonald. I'm the co-founder and managing director of Gold Hydrogen, and Gold Hydrogen was a company that listed close to 2 years ago in January 23, and it was on the basis of exploring for natural hydrogen. Most of you might know what hydrogen is. Natural hydrogen, I'll go through it more, is naturally formed geologically in the ground, and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail later. Our project is in South Australia, and this area here, that's a granted permit, and the other areas here, they're exclusive application to Gold Hydrogen. We've got a scale of close to 77,000 square kilometres exclusive to us. Historically, in 1921, 1931, in the hunt for oil and gas, they drilled 2 wells in this area, 3 wells, and then 1 on Kangaroo Island, and 3 times out of 3 they were unsuccessful. But they did find up to 90% purity in natural hydrogen. But there was no market for natural hydrogen back in those days, a bit like lithium in Western Australia. Everyone knows lithium's been there for, let's say, well, hundreds of millions of years, but in exploration world, it's been there for tens of 100 years, but there was no market. So we applied for these permits and focused on confirming the historical data. We've confirmed that there is natural hydrogen there in quite large volumes. We've got a prospective certified resource report for 1.3 billion kilograms, which is only 25% of this permit area. That's 50% recovery number. It could be more, but we could actually find more on the other permits. To give you an example, 1.3 billion kilograms is just short of what they'd say 1 TCF of natural gas is. Industries, including like Gladstone, CSG industry, was built off the back of 1 TCF of gas. 1.3 billion kilograms is enough to power South Australia domestic purposes for 40 years if all of it was extracted. The helium. We thought there could be helium there, but we weren't sure. When we have drilled these 2 wells, we have encountered helium at up to 36.9% purity. That is the highest reported number anywhere in the world for helium. Helium projects are commercially viable with purity starting from 2% or even 1% purity for helium. Why is this here? No one's ever explored in geological settings like this, but they might in the future. But we have all the geological ingredients and processes there. We've also got helium-3, and I'll explain a little bit more of that in the future of this presentation. We've been working with global leaders in CSIRO, and part of our discoveries to date have been going through old rock core samples that the state government have held there. Out of numerous rock chip samples, it was confirmed that there was hydrogen and helium in the fluid inclusions across that Yorke Peninsula permit. So we were fairly confident before we drilled that it is there. And industry overview for hydrogen. For those of you who don't know much about it, politically and environmentally, there's a massive push globally to have hydrogen form part of the energy mix moving forward. It may not be the whole energy mix, but it's definitely going to be part of it. Japan, as an example, a nearby trading partner, their primary focus moving forward is LNG and hydrogen, and then subsequently nuclear as well in the mix. Europe and other places around the world, like South Australia, and I'll go back to that map, have already repurposing generators to be hydrogen generators. They're allowing up to 10% of the existing gas pipelines to have hydrogen in the pipelines. South Australia is the same. So Whyalla is over here. The state government have started the process to build a $600 million hydrogen energy turbine. They need hydrogen. The government has also changed the legislation. There's a gas pipeline that runs down here approximately. You can put up to 10% of that pipe capacity with hydrogen. The world's doing things like that. It's getting there. Shipping, I've been in Hong Kong, at transportation. It's easy for shipping, trucking, transport to go from bunker diesel fuel to hydrogen as opposed to electric. It will form part of the mix. It may not be the biggest part of the mix, but it is going to be a world market. Now, man-made hydrogen, that's when you have to mine the materials, make the solar panels or the wind turbines, erect them on land, cover farming land. Then you've got to spend tens of millions of dollars on top of that to build a hydrolysis facility. Then you need to find water, which is the valuable natural resource. You do all those things before you make one molecule of hydrogen. You'll see there the cost of green hydrogen at the moment is minimum $4 from solar, $6 from wind. Natural hydrogen here, Mali in Africa, MALI. Hydroma has been exploring. They have drilled 28 natural hydrogen wells over the last 15 years, and they're using that natural hydrogen to power the town with electricity into an energy turbine. It is Mali. There is political risk, but it does work. What they're doing is the key. We know from their information that they are producing hydrogen at $1 a kilogram or less. And we also know from drilling costs in Australia that the assumption should be $1 a kilogram. If this can work and we get those numbers, it's a massive commercial advantage over man-made hydrogen. And I'm not saying man-made hydrogen won't work anywhere else, I'm just saying that's the commercial advantages. In America, there's another company called Koloma, Koloma. That is funded by Bill Gates, Bezos, Amazon and Mitsubishi. They are drilling for natural hydrogen and helium as well. And the global majors are now getting extremely interested and dedicating time to looking at our projects. Helium. Now, apart from party balloons and squeaky voices, there's many uses for helium. So MRIs, medical imaging, cooling agents in industrial purposes, supercomputers. There's a big market for helium. As I said before, helium projects globally are commercially profitable at 1% or more. The price of helium sales is approximately US $400 per 1,000 cubic feet to $500. We estimate production for most helium projects, including ourselves, will be approximately 50 to 100 at the most. Now, there is a global market for helium. Our 36.9% is the highest ever reported in the world. We know it's there. It's our job moving forward. There's some of the results. And before I go to our next stages, I will explain for those of you who may not know, but natural hydrogen where we are, iron-rich rocks, high salinity salt water, degrading uranium, we have other thorium and lithium, natural radiolysis, hydrolysis, serpentinization, where the hydrogen molecules are splitting and migrating to the surface, and then they get trapped. They get trapped in the limestone trap. Is it regenerating? Marley's decline curve is showing that it's not degenerating. It is regenerating. It's not declining. CSIRO have confirmed that it is regenerating. We don't know yet what speed this is regenerating at, but it is naturally happening all the time. So that is something that's going to be interesting for us in our further exploration and exploration flow testing to see. That was what I was talking about before. Our certified resources are large numbers that we have there for both the hydrogen and the helium. Now, objectives to date was to drill 2 wells, confirm the hydrogen's there. We know that we haven't drilled in the best locations yet. We just drilled where they did in 1931. We've undertaken 570 line kilometres of 2D seismic across that area now, and we know that there's more what we'd call up-dip locations, better locations to drill. We look forward to drilling our next program May onwards for both the hydrogen and the helium. You'll see here the results to date, and I'll give you some estimation. I'm not a geoscientist. Hydrogen, that area there's all the hydrogen spikes at approximately 200 to 500 metres. That's where it's getting accumulating from the basement, like a fractured basement migrating and getting trapped. You'll see here, this is the helium logs and the zones. They're exceptional shows. That's a 200 metre thick helium zone. That's very exciting, with big purity numbers that we're constantly seeing above 25% and up to 36.9%. We're looking forward to, we're working on current drill designs, well designs to move forward. That's some of the flow testing, exploration testing results. You'll see the curve climbing up there the longer it was testing. We're only allowed to do it for so long under our permits. Same with the helium. You'll see that over time of the testing program over 10 days, and we have seen hydrogen and helium to surface. It's our job moving forward is to optimise extraction of both the gases to surface to get meaningful rates and move towards commercialisation and pilot project status. We would like to get to those points where we do natural hydrogen into electricity or the gas pipeline, helium into bottles. Helium is not produced in Australia anymore. That stopped a year ago. There is a market here. We'd like to work with Bock, Linde, Air Liquide, put small facilities on site early as possible to start selling helium. Now, helium-3, Russia, America, China spending billions of dollars in feasibility studies to go to the moon to get helium-3. Why? It's the best cooling agent you could possibly get. Is it found on the land? In rare places. Most of them probably aren't achievable to get extract or flow. We have confirmed helium-3 in our project area. Early days, but Bill Gates again, Bezos on Commonwealth Fusion Systems, they believe that they have completed nuclear fusion technology. Those who dominate that area will economically run the world. Helium-3 is the best cooling agent. It will stop over reactors. The reactors will not implode and waste, etc. They need 100 kilograms of helium-3 per year to be able to run. Now, it's early days, but they have the technology. There is separation technology in place. We're working with various parties. To give you an example, 1 kilogram of helium-3 sells for approximately $18 million a kilogram. Your 4 kilogram gas bottle at home is approximately worth $72 million in US dollars of helium-3. We will be able to produce some, hopefully. Too early to tell. We don't know how long yet it'll take us to get 1 kilogram or 4 kilograms, but we know we have it. As I said, we wish to go to future wells next May onwards. We're in the process of designing wells to maximise optimization of extracting the gases, and then we wish to go to those pilot program later next year and early next year is our aim. Our key team, I'm the founder and managing director, Josh, Frank, our chief exploration geologist, Billy and Julian. They've all been around for a very long time in the gas sector. Although this is hydrogen and helium, the techniques we're using are in existence. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're changing a few things. We're working on it, but it's not a new wheel. Our chairman's Alexander Downer. He was the former Foreign Affairs Minister for Australia for 9 years. Our permitted area is actually where part of his electorate used to be. He's South Australian, very well internationally connected. We are receiving global interest on very large scale. All the global majors are looking at us and wanting to invest in gold hydrogen. There might be a good chance for strategic investment from some of them in the future. Catherine, Roger and Carl are all very experienced. And look, I'm at my booth. If you've got any more questions, feel free to come over after the break. Thank you for your time and for being here today.